right, this is the October 16th meeting of the Gillum County Court. We're beginning with a work session on the fiber project, and it's 9:00 a.m. Present are Commissioner Wilkins, Commissioner Watkins, myself, Judge Patnode, and Assistant to the County Court, Anya Mundy. We do have a presentation that's up on the screen presented by Catalyst Public Policy Advisors, Nick Green. What we're going to hear Nick tell us about is the BTAP grant and the feed pre-qualification process for North End rural fiber. Nick, can you hear okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. We do have a new commissioner. Commissioner Watkins was present during some of this, but we have Commissioner Wilkins who hasn't been involved in any of this. So just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. So go ahead and take it away.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I thought, I knew there were some leadership changes, so I thought it'd be helpful if we just went through quickly some background information so that we're all on the same page. And because I came in a bit later too, I won't pretend to have all of this exactly correct, and feel free to jump in if you need to clarify anything. But the intent, Gillum County for several years has been working with the city of Condon.
Okay, great, thank you.
So Gillum has been working with the city of Condon and others to try and close the digital divide. You've engaged in some municipal broadband infrastructure build outs. And there's also been quite a bit of private sector build out. And so two that I want to point out specifically because they're going to influence how we proceed are Rally's award for the southern portion of the county under the enhanced ACAM grant, which was a federal grant for broadband, and CenturyLink's award for two different locations, disconnected locations under the RDOF grant, which is another federal funding grant. So those two things are in progress in addition to what the county is considering for the BEAD funding.
So
and again,
where are the two locations for the CenturyLink?
you'll see them in the map on the next page.
Okay, thank you.
I'll point them out to you.
Okay.
They're odd shapes, the way they do those RDOF auctions. So there's no real rhyme or reason to it, but you'll see them on the map.
Okay.
And then again, just for context, the county hired ComStructure Consulting after doing a competitive solicitation for broadband. And they did their phase one work, which was a high level analysis to connect the entire county. That was a plan that would have built out 500 and
Did we lose him?
We can't hear you, Nick.
And it felt like the power might
Well,
have.
those lights flicked out.
There.
See,
So what happened?
That's just the lights timing out.
He's not muted.
Colin.
is the light on the end of that? Did it flick that off?
It's usually.
and so we
There you
rescoped
are.
that.
Okay, Nick.
We lost
Nick,
that.
we lost you about where you were saying 507 serviceable locations on phase
Okay.
one. That's what.
I'll go back. Thanks for letting me know. So the original award for phase one was the 507 locations. It would have been 338 miles of new fiber optic infrastructure, total estimated cost of 23 million. After beginning that phase one work, these two federal grants were awarded, the EACAM and RDOF. And so in June, LS Networks, which is the ComStructure team, is now part of LS Networks. In June, we rescoped their design to focus on those areas that are still eligible for federal funding. And so it's a much narrower focus and it's going to be a lower cost than what we anticipated. Right now, we're looking at 99 unserved locations that can be grant funded that still remain eligible. And that would be about 130 miles of new fiber optic infrastructure. And we're still working through what that will potentially cost. I do want to point out the asterisks, and I think Eric Orton will probably get into this a little bit more. That 130 miles assumes that we can leverage the IRU or indefeasible right to use agreement that you have that you're currently using for transport across WindWave's fiber optic system. And I just point that out because right now under your IRU agreement, you can only enter at one point and exit at the end. That agreement would have to be amended to allow you to branch off of the network in order to extend segments from that area. So Eric will talk about that in more detail, but assuming we can do that, then we're looking at 130 miles of new fiber optic build that we would be proposing under BEAD. So to do this design work, you hired me about a year ago to write a grant for you, which was called the BTAP grant. It was a technical assistance grant. The county was awarded that. So you received $150,000 of grant funding and your match is $8,000. And that was awarded, the project took effect in June. And we have, actually we're gonna have until the end of January, but right now the agreement says end of December, we're gonna have to have that amended. And they were willing to amend it. So we're looking at end of January to provide the final analysis for the preliminary engineering. And what you'll have at the end of this process is our high-level design work from the Ellis Networks team and all of your pre-qualification, your operating agreements, your full attachment agreements, basically everything you need to prepare to apply for BEAD and to pre-qualify when that process opens.
Hey, Nick,
Yes,
this is Grant. I have a question. You were talking about the ACAM and RDOF grants. Those are federal, right?
correct.
And what was the amount awarded? I didn't see that.
I
Is
don't,
that different?
oh, go ahead.
Is that different? I mean, I thought you said that the county was gonna be awarded those or not?
No,
No,
You're applying for
No, those were awarded to private sector internet service providers.
them to private sectors.
Correct.
yeah,
Okay.
and they're
So-
doing South Rural County.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's a good opportunity for us to jump into the map that I mentioned and is shown on the screen here. This is as messy as it looks. So I'll try to make it clear. The fuchsia color, at least it looks like fuchsia on my screen. You can see the separation line at the bottom of the map that shows kind of that dark pink. And below, that's the area that Raleigh was awarded EACAM. And so for purposes of our design work, we're ignoring all of that or disregarding it because they have an obligation to build out to every eligible location within that zone. So we're letting them focus on that. If you look to the right, so bottom right, you see a light purple blob and then a dark purple blob. And I don't know if you can see my cursor, but I'll try to circle them.
Yeah.
There's one there and there's one here.
okay,
Those are the CenturyLink RDOF grant areas.
okay.
Oh,
And so those two locations are ineligible for BEAD funding. And so what we're looking at, and I'm sorry, we're gonna have overhead PA system happening here at the airport. Oops, what we're looking at. I'll go back. Is everything that's outside of those areas to the north. And so those potential locations are shown with these fabric IDs that are assigned by the FCC. Those are the yellow circles with the numbers next to them. And there's 99 total potential locations. BEAD further complicates this map because it can only apply to service school district boundaries. So in addition to showing you the restricted areas in the purple and pink color, you're also seeing different colors on the map associated with the school districts. So there is a small portion of the Condon School District that's north of the EACAM area that you could apply to service. And then the right-hand side of the map in green is the Ione School District. And you can see there's some yellow circles that are eligible in the Ione School District. I also work with Morrow County, and we're having a conversation at the end of this month with their consortium board. But we anticipate Morrow County will apply to service the Ione School District. So you won't need to worry about the serviceable locations in the green boxes. That would be covered under the Morrow County application. So really what we're primarily focused on is the blue. So the Arlington School District and all of the serviceable locations within that makes up the majority of your potential BEAD application for state grant funding under that program. So I'm going to take a quick pause and ask if that makes any sense at all. Are you
Yes, and
still with me?
I wanted to ask if Catherine Greiner is able to communicate with us, if she has any questions at this point.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So, hi, Nick, this is Catherine
Hey,
Greiner.
Good.
One of the questions I did have, and I put it in the chat, is I thought the IRU with WindWave between the county and then the IRU with the city with ours had a way, we had an agreement, I believe, that allowed connections because of Columbia Basin, handholds, or I think that's what they were called. So I don't know if you want to look into that, and we can look back at the IRUs. I mean, you've obviously looked over them, but I thought one of the ways to break it out was already in the IRU.
I'll let Eric jump in on that one.
I think that the difference is the IRU with WindWave is for the fiber that extends from Arlington to Condon. Separate from that is the Columbia Basin Electric Co-op has an underground system that extends from Morrow County into Gillum County and passes through Condon.
They do, Eric. That's what's there. Okay. But when we did the IRU, we were at that time were working with Columbia Basin. So I get that there's two of them, but I guess I just want to make sure too is that I thought that was in there, and if it's not, I don't know about that, but I want to make sure too that this project knows that the city of Condon has fibers running between also with WindWave, and we want to make sure those are available for any build out also.
Right. I've got two different documents and we can probably follow up. I've got a IRU agreement and fiber order, and then also a WindWave right to use agreement for fiber line.
Okay. And those two is, I didn't know, I mean, I don't want to overtake the conversation here, but right. It's one of those two that I'm going to be in Sun River, and I think you might be in Sun River in 2 weeks, and I would love to sit down and chat with you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think this is a good idea because Catherine has the historical knowledge of this, and we need to glean that so that we can do this right.
Well, and I just want to make sure that also too on the south end for selfish purposes, as I live in the south end of the county, and we are covered under Raleigh, but I know you guys on the beat, they have their own grant. I just want to make sure we get to the home. And if Raleigh refuses to actually take it from our driveway to our house, I'm hoping Gillum County can help with that last last bit to get it to, not just me, but to, I know Brooklyn and some of the other neighbors out our way is Raleigh's talking about only taking it to our driveways, which are sometimes half a mile from our home. So
right, Catherine, I agree with you, and I think that once we get this going, that will be part of the ultimate plan, which was fiber to every home.
Okay,
Somehow, I'm on board. I hope the other commissioners are thinking about that as well. You know, we'll have costs, but we also have, to me, this is infrastructure. It's part of what we need, to finish it. If we got that far, we would need to finish it as
awesome.
best we could.
Okay,
And
Right.
we could
I-
always invite Raleigh back to talk to us since they are laying cable right now. I
yeah,
know they're laying it out Sniption Canyon Road.
yeah, we do have marks out my road right now too. They haven't started laying the fiber, but, too, I don't want to derail this. So the north end, this is great. Just let
Right.
me know, Nick and Eric, if we could chat later, and then two, if on the city's, fiber that we make sure that's used also.
That sounds great.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
So let's have Eric now, if that's okay. Eric's gonna give you an update on where we're at in the design process for BTAP. And then I'll conclude with some discussion around BEAD and what we're doing there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nick. So we met with Pacific Power and have initiated the joint use agreement. So the joint use agreement between Gillum County and Pacificor essentially establishes a joint use agreement that allows us to apply for pole attachment permits to Pacific Power poles. And the Pacific Power poles, there's approximately 200 of them, and they're mostly located in the far north portion of the county. We have them on our maps, but they weren't reflected there. And so that process is underway. I think we've got the draft back and it's for review with Gillum Legal Counsel. So that's
And it's come back from legal counsel, and I forwarded it to Pacific Power. There were very few comments. We just got that this week. Haven't heard
Okay.
back from legal counsel, but we will soon.
great. And then one note I didn't put on here, the same thing would apply with Columbia Basin Electric Co-op, is that we'll need a joint use agreement with them. I think we talked about that, Nick. I don't know if that process has
It's
started
done.
yet. It's done?
It's done. Yes.
Okay.
It's signed by all parties and finished.
Okay, perfect. So having those out of the way, that we're going to be, as we move forward into the field engineering, we'll be collecting data and essentially assembling pole attachment permit applications into draft format, preparing those for submittal and approval for pole attachments. So good to know that those two vehicles and mechanisms are in place. As Nick showed on the route map, we went in from the high level design, we had substantially more addresses. What we did is obtained the 911 address data for the county, which was a considerable number of connections, included both commercial, residential, and also there was locations were not occupied, but because they were of 911 nature, they had addresses associated in the event of an emergency response. But we did include them because some of them were substations and various facilities that potentially could use the fiber even though they weren't residents. So, and that also included the entire county. Since then, we've gone back into our high level design that we produced, and we've pruned out the majority of everything in the South County, and then also replaced our 911 addresses with the FCC fabric data, which is the unserved, underserved locations, and have distilled that down to 99 locations. Even though some of those other address locations will be along those routes, what we would do in the design is provision for a future connection, if that was the case. So just leaving slack or leaving the ability to expand coverage on any of these routes that was built. It only makes sense at that point to make sure that we provision for that and plan for that in the fiber capacity. So as a result of that pruning and distilling of these routes, what we've got it down to now is 130.4 miles of aerial and 14.5 miles of new underground infrastructure build. And that is to get to all of the FCC fabric serviceable address locations in the North County. In what we've factored in and included is the windwave fiber routes. So we've got the Gillum County and the Condon IRU information, and we have those routes in the map identified. Some of the windwave route, there is not an IRU in it because it extends across the north portion of the county. It does not extend from Arlington down to Condon. So I don't think those sections were included. But WindWave during the high level design did mention that they would be willing to discuss use of fiber or conduit in that area to help this project along and help with connectivity in some of those remote areas. So that's to be discussed with WindWave to determine what is available and what is not available for us to use in consideration of the design. So what we have in the map is 11.4 miles of existing WindWave fiber and then 29.3 miles of leased IRU fiber. So just talking to the engineer, he thinks that both of those might be included. I just have to clarify. So we have a considerable amount of existing that we should be able to leverage. And then, as Catherine mentioned, we've got the Columbia Basin, and we'll have to look at how that portion overlaps. So to be determined. And the reason I bring that up is that 130 miles of aerial and 14.5 miles of underground may grow based on the available capacity and the use of the existing fiber routes. There are some restrictions written into the IRU where we might not be able to break out along these paths. So we'll just need to get clarification from WindWave and potentially amend the agreement. Is what in order to feed some of these address locations, there's going to be laterals from north to south along these routes that we'd have to break out and build to provide services. And then as a result of that, as we pull together cost estimates for what the segments we are going to design and potentially submit for BEAD or other applications, that might change the total cost based on the total footage. And so what we're going to do, the field engineering data collection, we have not done a heavy field assessment at this point. What we were trying to do is distill it down to the point where we knew exact routes that we were going to design before we invested in the time and the cost associated to do it. And so I'm glad we're having this meeting so that we can make sure that we know a plan of attack so that we can commence with our field data collection to pull that information in. And then as a result, we'll update our opinion and probable cost, which we did in the original high level design for the whole county. We'll break that down into the smaller North County portion and come up with our ideas and estimates of what the actual construction costs will be for these for this project. And that's kind of sums up the kind of where we're at today in the overview. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I
do not.
have a
Go ahead,
quick question.
Yes.
So, it's my understanding that if the city of Condon wanted to upgrade basically if they wanted to overbuild Raleigh or do a wireless network in the city of Condon to provide an option, we're out of luck with federal money, right? Because Raleigh has wrapped up the federal money in this. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes.
That's my understanding.
You would be doing that at your cost.
Okay. No state money because it's all federal money coming through the state broadband office too?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and those addresses, so technically for an address to be eligible, it has to be unserved or underserved. And so most of addresses within city limits that are served by one or more current service providers are considered served. And so that's an automatic disqualification for any federal funding associated with it. So if an address has wireless, mobile, DSL telephone that meets the FCC minimum for broadband, then it's ineligible for funding.
Okay. Thanks.
So I know that you're not, don't want to estimate, but we would be looking at least maybe half of the cost that we thought before.
I think that we would probably be somewhere closer to about a third to a half because the mileage has dropped considerably. I think we were over 500 miles or 400 miles, and now we're down to about 145 miles, depending on the wind wave. And so the total distance has reduced. So we're kind of just shooting from the hip cost estimate that would be half or less of the original
Yeah.
cost.
And is the federal grants gonna cover most of that? Or is there gonna be there's gonna be a match that we're gonna have to kick in at the county level?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll-
Nick can outline that.
I'll cover that as we go through the pre-qualifications discussion for BEAD.
Okay.
Any other questions for Eric before we jump into that topic?
Any questions for me? No? Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I've been working with Judge Patnode to go through our pre-qualification, I'll call it homework. They have not opened up the pre-qualification window yet. So I'm just going to talk through the process that we're kind of running pre-game drills right now because the game hasn't started. We anticipate sometime in December, they're going to open the window for applications. So what I'd like to just review is what we're doing right now to prep for that and answer any questions you have at this stage. We don't have all the answers, but we have some of them. So what I'm showing on these slides is the pre-qualification checklist. And on the left-hand side, it shows what they expect to receive from the government applicants. On the right-hand side, it shows what they expect to receive from the private sector applicants, or if it's a private sector internet service provider that's working with a government applicant, what they would be contributing toward the application. Having said that, the rules actually allow you to provide this information from either party. So it's not hard and fast that the data comes from one or the other, but I'll just kind of go through very quickly what's expected. So a UEI registration in sam.gov, Gillum County already has that, so that box is checked. For your internet service providers that you partner with in the application, they'll be providing information about their organization. And then both parties can provide information about management and workforce that will oversee the deployment of the network. We don't have to worry about being an applicant without experience because we would be partnering with an ISP that is experienced in providing this information. But we would have to provide ownership information as part of the county's legal opinion. And there's an ownership information form. Basically, all the government is looking for is that there's not foreign control over some of these internet service providers that we partner with. So there's a process to certify that, as well as that the ISPs are eligible to provide lit service and end user service on the network. And so that's what's included in the scope of the legal opinion. We do have to provide audited financial statements and a performance bond, which just guarantees that we can cover the cost of the build out, or at least the portion of the build out the county is responsible for. That's where it gets really interesting. So I'll try to explain this to the best of my understanding. There is a 25% requirement for matching funds on whatever you request. That's in the program guide, and that's part of NTIA's rules. Having said that, they expect the high cost applicants to request a match waiver, either a partial or complete waiver of the match for high cost areas. And then there are what they call extremely high cost areas. And those extremely high cost areas are areas that at the discretion of the Oregon Broadband Office, they determined are too expensive to serve with fiber and therefore would be removed from the scope of our application. But the point is all of this happens after we apply. So they're going to take in all of the applications from across the state. They anticipate spending about $1 billion between BEAD, BDP, and matching funds. And they're going to look at these applications and say, okay, of all of this, $1 billion that we're spending, how much match is being contributed from the other applicants, and how many of these locations appear to us to be either extremely high cost that need to just be tossed out, they're not going to get fiber, and how many are high cost that we could waive the matching funds requirement on. We won't know the answer to that until after we apply and we go through the negotiation phase. What I would expect, just based on my experience and being on the Oregon Broadband Advisory Council, the Ione School District in Morrow County, your school district in Gillum County, Harney County, if they apply, Malheur County, you guys are gonna anchor the high cost and extremely high cost end of the spectrum. Your school districts are huge. I mean, larger than entire eligible areas of other counties. Your frontier, meaning unless, you know, cows and windmills start applying for broadband service, you've got less than one customer per mile of fiber you're building. So you guys are going to be the ones that anchor that end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is going to be anchored on the west side where you've got 10 customers per mile.
Yeah.
So logic would dictate you get the majority of your matching fund requirement waived. Logic is a scary animal when we're talking about state agencies. So I would just say, stand by to stand by. We're going to do the best we can with this, but I can't really tell you what your match is going to be, and we won't know until we've done all of this work. Does that make sense?
And we wouldn't be obligated. I mean, we could, you know, I hate to throw out, well, we should talk about the what ifs, I think, or the county court should at some point. We can't make any decisions today. This is just a work session, but if it ends up being cost prohibitive, we can make that decision at that point, even if we were awarded the grant.
Correct. Getting into the negotiation phase and having a potential award does not obligate you to accept the award.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we should plan for the worst case scenario
Yes.
and hope for the best case scenario.
Absolutely. And we want this, we've wanted it, it's part of our infrastructure. I believe that we need to do what we can to move this forward. Absolutely. But like thanks for your honesty. We just aren't gonna know.
Yeah.
So the worst case scenario would be 25% of whatever would be our match. Is that what I'm getting out of this?
That's your worst case scenario. So if we just said, okay, $10 million is the cost of your build out, then your match would be $2.5 million.
Yeah.
That's what you would be pledging. If we're successful at getting waivers, obviously that comes down. And like I said, if anyone's getting a waiver, it's you.
Okay. Okay.
Because I don't know. And this is unfortunately, this is sort of the knock-on effect of the BDP grant process that just got announced. Awards were announced a week and a half ago. Some of these rural frontier counties that did not get awards under BDP do not intend to apply for BEAD. Partly because of the match, partly because of the expense of the application, partly because of the requirements to service those remote areas. They just don't see, even with a fully funded network, they don't see it being cost effective for them to operate and maintain the network once it's built. So I think if anything, I mean, it's unfortunate for those counties if no one applies for their school districts. But if anything, that would even further strengthen the argument for a waiver of your match, at least a portion of it.
Hey,
So-
Nick, I have a question.
Yes.
Like all grants that you put in, I'm guessing this is a competitive grant, correct?
Correct.
So if the county said, you know, and I don't like putting this out too much, is, hey, you know what? I found that you score more points if you say you will match some than if you go completely for a waiver. Is that part of the scenario, or if for what I'm hearing is that that's not even a discussion point until the grants are in?
Yeah, we have to pledge to meet the full match when we apply.
Okay.
That's just an expectation. The
Okay.
waiver process happens during the negotiation phase. I think the bigger concern, you're not competing against other school districts.
Mm-hmm.
You would be competing against other providers that apply to service your school district. And we've
Mhm.
already vetted that with the ISPs. None of them intend to apply.
Okay, okay,
So,
good.
so
I
you're,
just know that with other grants, especially with some of the federal and especially with the state grants, is
Right.
that if you say, hey, I'm going to, the match is 10%, I'm going to do 10.1, you get extra points towards that. But if they're not going to apply, it sounds like that's not going to be an issue.
yeah, this, you're right. Under most circumstances, in this case, these are the least desirable areas to service in the state. And if
That's
the
offensive.
ISPs,
No,
yeah, if the ISPs wanted them, they would have gone there already.
exactly.
So yeah, what our challenge is going to be between now and, the award decision, whether you accept award or not, is really going to be, can we broker agreements with the internet service providers that are fair and equitable to them to actually provide lit service over the network? Once we get through the infrastructure build out, because there's still going to be costs associated with operating this service, and there's not a lot of
Yes.
cost recovery because there's just not that many customers. And there is no obligation for the customers to subscribe to the network. So
No.
we make assumptions in our pro formas about how many subscribers there will be, but that doesn't mean we're going to hit our target or that they will subscribe. So these are high risk areas. The state knows that. That's why we got the federal funding. The BEAD is intended to service areas like the ones we're describing here. So for all of those reasons, I think you're going to have a very competitive application,
Okay.
but there's still quite a bit of work to do. And just to kind of put a pin in my portion of this presentation, the rest of this is just compliance stuff. We have to certify that we'll follow the law. Nothing in it is unique or even particularly interesting. There's one form and we go through and the county judge will sign and then initial next to each compliance requirement that we aren't going to violate the law.
Okay.
So
So
that's it.
So just to remind me, once the ISP takes over the system or operates the system, not take over, but operates the system, they're required to give certain speeds, but they're not required to stay with certain costs. Is that correct?
There is a
I'm
speed
just concerned that yes, we will get high-speed internet in our county, but it's going to be just as expensive as HughesNet. I know it's going to be more reliable. I just didn't know if there was any cost parameters on what they could then charge the customer. And I thought there was now a speed requirement that they had to do, like 100 down and 50 up or something like that.
Yeah, there is a speed requirement. I believe it's 100. But let me verify that because I didn't double check that before the call. I don't recall if there's a specific cost requirement for service, but we will negotiate with the ISPs an operating agreement. And you can put that into the operating agreement, and that can be part of the negotiation with the ISPs. But I will verify if there is a price per end user specified in the roles. I don't recall off the top of my head.
Nick, to clarify, the speed requirement is at least 100 megabits down and at least 20 megabits up for BEAD.
120. Okay.
Yeah, so 100 up, 20 down. It doesn't have to be symmetrical.
I don't know at this point if an asymmetrical is even technologically, if it even makes sense anymore.
If you're deploying fiber, that it is an option to lower cost, but if you're deploying fiber at that point, symmetrical would be the preferred.
Yeah. So, and I expect they're going to offer speed tiers significantly in excess of 100 meg download speeds, but that'll all be part of our discussions with ISPs as we prep over the next few months.
Okay.
And then just in terms of timeline, so everyone's aware, once we get through all of this pre-application, selection, decide to accept an award, they still anticipate about 3 to 4 years of build out for us to implement.
Wow.
So we'll try to
People-
get it done much quicker, but this is a 5-year process for them.
Okay,
So there's not, we're not under the gun in terms of timeline. We just want to make sure we're prepped and ready to pre-qualify when the window opens.
okay. So the award timeline, is that different than what you just described?
We anticipate awards probably this time next year.
Okay,
And then they would start the clock, post negotiation, post award, they would start the clock on the build outs. And I think we'd still have 3 years on build out before.
all right. And, with all the fires that have been happening this last summer, one of the things I do when I drive to work my 25 miles from mid-county to South County is look at the poles and think, okay, if there were fiber attached to that and there were a fire, what would the effect be? Because this is gonna be mostly aerial. So, are you just down until it's rebuilt, or is it like a power line? They're up as quick as they can go? Are we to the point of talking about things like that?
Eric,
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if you
mean,
got-
if you have a fire situation that takes out the utility poles, the first in line is the electric utility. So their number one priority is restoring electrical service. And then at that point, they will allow other attachees to the pole and come in and restore communication services. And usually that's done together. Usually you would respond both and then kind of work together with the power agency that's
Okay.
there. But yes, if there were damaged sections, those segments would need to be replaced or
Okay.
repaired, just depending the extent of the damage. Most of the time with the grasslands, for the most part, they kind of burn fast and low. And I believe, I don't know if Columbia Basin, what they've been doing from a fire mitigation standpoint, if they've been starting to wrap their poles, or if it's considered a high risk wildlife or wildfire area. But yeah, there is a risk of wildfire. And I know you experienced some this year out in that region.
Hey, we've come to the end of the internet. We have no more presentations, so I'll turn it back to you, Judge, if you have other questions for us.
Rank 23 second.
He did? Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Okay, I'm calling to order the regular meeting of the Gillum County Court. This is October 16th. We're in Arlington today, 10 o'clock a.m. And we have established a quorum. Commissioner Wilkins and Commissioner Watkins are present. And we will have the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hi, are there any additions or revisions to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll go on to correspondence, public comment. We'll begin with public comment. I have 2 people who signed in. Tiffany Wilkins, gone.
She got called out.
Okay, Denise Ball, would you like to speak? Yes. Come on up. And you come up to the table if you would, so we can hear. State your name and your city.
Can you please turn the video on? That's what Burke just said. Oh, no, sorry.
That is the video, unless, I don't think it's gonna show from here. Oh, I don't know. Hold on.
All right. Got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, there I am.
Thank you. All right. Go ahead.
So, the only thing that I would like to, not the only thing. First of all, compliments to our new county court for the way that you conduct your meetings. We truly appreciate it. But there's one thing, and it's not a criticism, it's a reminder. We ask for town hall meetings We really need them. And if you could maybe bump that up on your priority list.
I was gonna propose it for, the 1st of January, just because the two of us were appointed trying to work out where we're at, and do one, and it will be winter, and the weather might not be good. However, if we did them in the evening, one in Condon and one in Arlington, those were my thoughts. I don't know what the others think about that, but we can have it as an agenda item at a next meeting to actually discuss how we want to proceed with that.
Okay,
But I'm with you.
okay.
I know as, my feeling, Commissioner, that was something that I had on my list to try to do this fall. And, I mean, it's mid-October and I know it's going by fast, but, just a way for people to come communicate to me. I don't know, my thoughts were to try to set it up, maybe I get with Mr. Clotton there and set something up at the fire hall. But that is on my list.
Well, it would be a nice Christmas present for we the people.
Well, it's just, yeah, and something, my thinking was, either a Saturday or during the weekday after work, because that's part of the problem,
Evenings.
people working and
Evenings
And
are
just,
critical.
come down and, yeah, let's talk. So yes, definitely it's on my radar. It's just,
Bring the beer.
You have any thoughts on it, Leah?
I just think we do have 2 new court members and it's a lot to absorb. So I think for them to try to go out and do that right off the bat was kind of unrealistic, but probably next winter or spring would be a good time to.
I also thought it would tie in with the budget. If you hear something that somebody has an idea we want to pursue, it would be good timing with the budget coming up. And that's just the way I was thinking. Doesn't mean it's the only way.
Yeah, because that will start in February and March, so.
December, January.
Just a reminder.
Thank you.
It's really hard to plan things around the holidays and with all the different things, so.
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. Do we have anyone else present who would like to speak? No? Okay. Anybody online who has any public comment? No? All right. We have some written correspondence. One, and I thought Carrie Cowan may be here, but she did send a letter, so that's fine. And this is just a summary of the health funding. Let me back up a little bit. First, there was a request for the sustainable funding for the Arlington Food Pantry, and that funding has been forwarded to the food pantry for 24-25. And so she sent a request for that.
Is that the help? Is that what help?
That is the Arlington Food Pantry. So $10,000 is given to the food pantry in a line item to the county court under a memorandum of agreement, and also to Condon.
Yeah.
Then there was a special request that was issued for the Arlington Health. And so her summary, I'll just read that. Enclosed a summary of a grant money you awarded health last January to assist people in our community who are struggling due to the extreme cold temperatures. I titled the grant award as a weatherization project. An employee of Gillum County Court donated $100 to add to the Gillum County award of $10,000, making the total donation to the winterization project $10,100. At the time, I did not realize what a huge undertaking this would be. And just let me clarify, this is written by Carrie Cowan, the treasurer of Arlington Health. Huge undertaking this would be. I had the help of 2 great individuals, electrician and individual that knows the ins and outs of plumbing. They were the key to the program's success, and I appreciate the dedication and hard work in freezing and less than ideal conditions. The electrician not only rewired, replaced outlets, covered bare wires, and replaced circuit breakers, but also educated on electrical safety. The man working on plumbing replaced many broken pipes, which required many times thinking outside of the box. He repaired faucets, toilets, showers, and insulated pipes. He also repaired 2 roofs, replaced a rotted wheelchair ramp and is in the process of replacing absent skirting. Again, this was a huge job done by two very hardworking men, which is deeply appreciated. The following are expenses listed by category and the money spent for each, and they are listed. This is available online if you want to look at those expenses. The number of households assisted with the revitalization project were 12 with 28 adults and 16 children. Thank you for allowing Arlington Health to assist in the need and well-being of the communities and families. Carrie Cowan.
First time something like that happened.
Since I've been on this board, that was when all the, right,
Cold weather.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
in January, last year.
And I'm not sure if most of them were in this
The trailer park.
park here. I'm not sure, but some were. The second piece of correspondence is the Condon Community Food Pantry submitted their request and has been paid for their $10,000. So Condon Food Pantry received $10,000, and that's line item sustainable funding, and Arlington did as well. But they have to request the money to get it. So that's what your correspondence is for. Also, you'll have bios for Kelly Nonprofit Consulting, which was forwarded, and thank you, Commissioner Watkins, for getting those. And they're in your packet as well and online. There's also a flyer for Arlington Parents Night information, which is taking place in Arlington schools Tuesday, October 29th, 5:30 p.m. And there's a speaker named Greg Bennick speaking on bully prevention and anti-bullying work. So, and that is a flyer that's in your packet if anybody wants to attend that. There's also a capital investment grant program final report for Condon School District that's included. And you can read that online. We have an additional piece of correspondence, and this is from
This finishes up their project, right?
yes, that finishes their project. That is closed out.
Okay.
And they ended up using their money. It was originally going to be for siding for the high school gym, paving sidewalks, outside lighting, hardscape, and landscaping. But they amended the grant. We tabled the siding of the gym and requested it be replaced, the high school shop roof, boiler maintenance, and general facility maintenance. So that's what they did with that money. And it's closed out. All right, we have a letter from the Gillum County Treasurer to the Gillum County Court explaining the situation with the interest. He writes, at the end of 2023, Gillum County started using PayPro, a new payroll system. The new system has integration issues with our accounting system. Because of the communication issues within these systems, there are outstanding payroll entries. Therefore, it has not been possible to distribute accrued interest on our investments and bank accounts to the funds in our budget. The process of recognition of interest in the general ledger is accomplished in 3 steps. 1, first, the interest due to be distributed is receipted into the accounting system. 2, all the monthly transactions are completed. 3, received interest is distributed by average daily balance to the applicable funds. Currently, the interest funds for fiscal year 23-24 have been received and receipted totaling $1,063,180.62. There's an attached revenue and expense report, but cannot be distributed to all of the applicable funds within Gillum County's budget because of the outstanding payroll entries in the general ledger. As such, the record is partial, and the performance of the distribution would give a snapshot in time that would be inaccurate. We, Treasury and Finance, are working diligently toward a solution and are close to having the needed payroll information posted within the general ledger. The data is not missing. The new timekeeping system contains the records and cost accounting for payroll. The communication issues within these systems has led to the inability to fully use the accounting system, general ledger, for general accounting, reporting budgets to actuals, and ultimately the annual financial report audit. Thank you for your continued patience and understanding in this matter. I don't want to get into a lot of the whole accounting information because we don't have our finance director here, but if we do want to talk about that, we can bring her on. I will say The audit is scheduled for the week of November 11th, and we hope to have all of the entries done by then. Actually, you have to have them done before the audit starts. So,
Have she had those conversations with Cassell on, will it integrate?
do you mean PayPro?
Yeah, between PayPro and,
There's a meeting next week and we're gonna ask those questions.
okay,
Mhm.
with, Cassell.
Right.
And are they
did-
coming here? Or are they just doing it over?
I think it's by Zoom.
Okay.
Yes, if you want to participate to instead, that's fine
Okay.
too. Tuesday, I believe. You can check with Brooklyn, or I can have Anya let you know when that is. I did find out Sherman County does use Cassell. Maybe you knew that, which is comforting because then our neighbors used it, worked some of the bugs out. So Cassell will be the new accounting system that we're moving to. They use Cassell's payroll. So, we just need to ask a question and make sure it'll work.
And maybe down the road, we transition to Cassell's payroll. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not
we'll see.
opposed to that.
The meeting's Monday at 10:30. You know if it's by Zoom?
Let's see.
It must be.
I think it's Teams.
Teams, yeah,
Oh,
virtual.
it's Teams. When is it?
Monday, this coming Monday at 10:30.
Okay.
Okay,
You guys can send me the link.
okay, she will. Anya will do that. All right. Wait, you came in late. Do you have anything you wanted to say?
Oh, no.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, we have the consent agenda. There are two items on the consent agenda, the minutes from October 2nd, 2024, and approval of bills. And I do want to say something about the approval of bills. We're going to start having a bill list that comes here. Went over and visited Sherman County and that's how they do it. So we're going to do that from now on. There are ways for you to access that, but I just think that if we have minutes, we should have a copy of the bills for you to approve or consider for approval. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any discussion? It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Next. We have the deflection program. It is up and running. All the agreements have been signed. In the process of learning about reporting and who's going to be doing the reporting. We've contracted with Community Counseling Solutions to handle the deflection program. They have contracted with a person named Jesse Rose who's going to be handling the deflection program. But in the whole process, we realized we only have a grant agreement for half the money. There was an amendment that because of the transition and things that happened early in the spring and later in the summer, we didn't get that amendment. We do have it now. It's in your packet. So what this says is allocating an additional, we had the original 75,000, but the total grant award is 150,000. So it's the additional $75,000, which will be distributed to us in two payments. We have the 75,000. The other 75 will come $37,500 by October 5th, $37,500 by March 31st. So that is in your packet and we just need a motion.
And that money comes to the court too.
Yeah, it comes to us, it goes to our treasurer, and then he forwards it.
Yeah.
We're working hard on communication because these payments all come electronically, so we need to let our treasurer know when the money's coming in and so that he knows where it goes. So, okay, there's a suggested motion. You can make the motion however you choose, but it is in your packet.
I move to approve amendment number 1 to the criminal justice deflection grant agreement as proposed.
A second.
Any other discussion? It's been moved and seconded to approve amendment number 1 to the criminal justice deflection grant agreement. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Okay, the next item under new business 6.0 is consider approval of purchase and sale agreement with Barnett Brothers LLC for transfer of surplus communications tower. I'm going to start by asking Leah, you were here. Do you have anything more to add to this that wasn't included in the briefing and that we haven't discussed?
No, the only thing I ever knew about it was that, I think Barnett's had requested to take ownership of it because it's not been used in years, and it is on their property, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, so we found all the original agreements and it came as a request way back in, I think, 2022 or 21. That Barnett's were interested in purchasing this tower. This is a communication tower that I think may have originally been planned to be part of the Frontier Telenet system, but it never was.
Yes.
So, all that the tower was used for was Rural Technology Group had provided internet service out in the Clem-Michaelo area for a while, and they had radio equipment on it, on that tower. But since Starlink came along, Rural Technology Group hasn't served anyone. They've all gone with Starlink out there. So,
did they remove their equipment from it?
so what we did is we received guidance from legal counsel about how to go about all of this. And that guidance included the process for notifying Rural Technology Group. In fact, I called them because I personally had internet with them and knew them and thought it might be a conversation to best be had over the phone rather than in writing first to make sure there were no issues. And they understood and they said they'll get their equipment removed. But we had to notify them in writing with a deadline, right?
Yeah, it's 60 days.
60 days. So we did that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, they know they need to remove it anyway because it's not being used. So that was taken care of, communicated with John Barnett, who's the representative of Barnett Brothers. This was originally an agreement between Gillum County and Ernest Barnett. Now the owner is Barnett Brothers LLC. And the tower is, from everything we can determine, of no use to Gillum County any longer. It's on their ground. I think Ernest Barnett received internet service in exchange for having the tower, but hasn't been utilizing that. So what we have to make a decision on today is, let me just clarify that, yeah, this was from way back in 2012. That's when the tower was sited there. So we've taken care of Rural Technology Group. We've communicated with the landowner. We've vetted the agreement with legal counsel. But we have the issue of is there a value to this tower? I did just call John Barnett and said, you know, did you talk about a dollar figure? And I threw a dollar figure out, and I just want to clarify, there had been negotiation and talks with the prior administration. So I feel we should honor those talks. He said the agreement was that it would be basically a gift. I had thrown out the amount of $3,000 just because there is value in the tower. And he said, oh, I think it was to be a gift, but I do want to give another option, and that is the amount. We could set an amount that's the amount we spent on legal fees to do all of this, which was $456. That's just what we did. I think there was some legal work done before, but any discussion? Do you want to talk about that?
I don't know. I just kind of feel like the tower has been on their property. It's, you know, I think the original agreement you said was to provide internet service, which hasn't been provided for years. And I think to just go back and say, well, here, we want some money for this, it would just be nitpicking.
All right. Any thoughts, Commissioner?
Yeah, I'm good with,
Okay.
let's
Maybe they could come back and say, hey, well, why don't you pay us rent for
Yeah,
however many years we haven't been using the.
Right.
yeah, I don't think there's with the, not, like she said too, also being, or some previous contract. It's
Mhm.
just there, nobody's
Mhm.
using it,
Right.
let's just turn it over
Okay.
to them and.
It'll be nice to get this one done. This was a little
Yeah.
bit of work to do the research. I also want to clarify, I did speak with, Frontier Telenet's, he manages the network. His name's Ryan LeBlanc, just to make sure there's no reason why that tower needs to stay there and there's no equipment on it, and there's not. I sent him pictures. John sent me pictures of what the equipment that was on it, and then I sent him on to Ryan, and he said, no, none of that's theirs. So
So the only equipment on it is the other.
is RTG, Rural Technology Group, yep. So what we need to do then, we've just presented you with two agreements, two options, one with a dollar figure and one without. So, what we need to do is, we can do this without a resolution if it's $3,000 or less. So this is just, can be done by motion. This is the advice of legal counsel. Here's a suggested motion. I move to declare the Barnett Tower referred to as Western Butte surplus and enter into a purchase and sale agreement in the amount of zero consideration.
And I would add to that to authorize the county judge to execute any and all agreements. So it doesn't have to come back to the court. So moved.
Okay, it has been moved. I'm going to restate the motion. It has been moved by Commissioner Watkins to declare the Barnett Tower referred to as Western Butte surplus and enter into a purchase and sale agreement in the amount of zero consideration and authorize the county judge to execute the agreement.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, good. All right. We're getting like, okay, discussion and possible approval. I just want to open this up to discussion. 6.2, consider approval of new position for Community Development Human Resources Coordinator and revised title for County Court Administrative position. Who would like to start? I have I'll just kind of summarize the briefing. Anya and I have reworked the job descriptions. So I'll admit, it doesn't fit together very well, these two positions, but these two sets of duties, community development and HR. However, those are the two areas that after doing this job for 4 months, I can see where we have a gap, we have a hole, we need somebody. And unless we try to find somebody that fits that, we're not gonna know. As you can see, just the fiber project alone is a lot of work, and there's a lot of balls in the air right now with projects. The EV charging, the fiber, there's some potential SIP funding coming, work with Business Oregon, the capital investment grants. There's a lot of work for somebody that can really focus on community development, help us create a vision and make sure we're moving toward that vision, and be out of the town halls, we can get some information about what the community is interested in and wants us to pursue. HR, we've received advice from our insured CIS, and they think we need somebody in-house to help us with HR. We had a recent HR situation that our attorney even advised us that we need to have our handbook revised. There's some work to be done. So that would be my hope, that we could advertise for make sure the title, Community Development Human Resources Coordinator. Community development person can work on housing, childcare, fiber, all of the things that we have out there that we we hope to, when we're not here anymore, are still are thriving, that we leave behind. So that's what I would hope. And then amending the executive assistant, amending Anya's position to executive assistant to the county court. She would be accessible to all county court members. But her job description would be refined to the duties that she is actually doing. Any thoughts?
So the HR was highly recommended to have our in-house.
By CIS, and we tried to look, because originally I thought of outsourcing. There just aren't a lot of companies that do it. And also having somebody that knows situations, understands the people, really may be a good way to go, as long as they have a safe place to go to for HR. I did get a little feedback from the elected officials, and they just want to make sure that it wouldn't be a position that would be forced upon them, that they could use them as a resource if they so choose, because they have the independence of being elected officials. But we have a union contract, we have a handbook, we have elected officials, non-represented people, people who are represented, part-time people. There's so many different scenarios within Gillum County. It's not all the same, and it's a lot of study to learn it, and that's why somebody in-house is going to have a better understanding, I think.
I think our current budget had both positions, right?
And
Not the community development part.
it had two positions though, in addition to the judge, yes.
Right, the assistant and the other.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts, Leah?
I'm thinking that it would be really hard to find somebody that has both of those qualities and be able to excel at them. I think you're gonna find either a person for one part or the other, but to find somebody that would fit both those bills. But I do agree with, I think that the executive assistant to the county court, which Anya's, I mean, basically gonna do both.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So do you have any objection to trying? To see if we can throw it out there, advertise and see what we get. We don't have to do anything.
yeah. I think that I agree with the HR coordinator is a good move, because even though the elected officials want to run their own offices, in reality, if something goes sideways, it's the county clerk's fiscal responsibility, and it's not gonna fall back on their departments, it will fall on our heads.
And this person could have the ability to train us all, and that would be very useful, whether you're an elected official or not, as a department head, so.
Because even when we had Miranda as an HR person, I mean, things changed so quickly, and she still would back that up with talking to CIS.
Yeah.
And make sure whatever she thought was the correct way to go was still,
And that wouldn't change. We would
Yeah.
utilize CIS. It's free. It's legal advice. They have their own attorneys. It's wonderful.
yeah, and you don't want to go against them, because then
No.
if you have a problem, then
You have to pay a $15,000 deductible.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, you could throw it out there and see what,
okay,
but we may have to rethink it.
right. And then we'll know. If it isn't gonna work, it isn't gonna work. We can regroup and decide.
And how much responsibility are you actually gonna give them as far as the housing and, I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think, like I say, Anya, it's been a great addition in her position, and with that, we're wanting to move her, and we're headed in a direction to fix the gap we got.
Okay,
So I'm good with try and
okay,
put it out there and see what we have.
okay. So we would need approval of the job descriptions and a motion to proceed with advertising for the community development HR coordinator position.
I'll, so move to approve the current job title and position for community development, human resource coordinator.
Mhm. Okay,
I don't know, I have a problem with that one.
okay. Hold on, we're gonna stop. We have a motion, but it wasn't seconded. Do you want to continue to discuss?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm like, because it looks like, just from looking at the job description,
Mm-hmm.
that there's a lot on that person's plate.
Mm-hmm.
And I just am confused about how much of that is their responsibility and.
Work under the general supervision of the county court, received lead direction from the county judge. Supervision.
Are we gonna get into the criticism of, we're taking that off of your plate and
Mhm.
what are you doing? And
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm. Yeah,
we've got to be careful going down that road because we'll come back and.
right. The thing about right now, I think we have a lot going on that we have this opportunity to get this speed grant. We have just now have the EV charging grant. We have, a lot of things coming down that have never come down before. So either we don't do it well or we get the help to do it well.
So in this description, we functions
We had two people before
to
and a
you,
judge.
you think some of
Well,
that should be not?
So to clarify,
Mhm.
before, when we had the executive assistant to the judge, she helped with more of the project management and the stuff like that with
Mhm.
Liz.
Yeah.
And Miranda did the HR and the employee resource officer and the assistant to the county
Mhm.
commissioners. So that was the
Yeah.
difference then.
And I guess that's part of my concern is if we need the HR resource coordinator, how are we gonna get them as a part-time position?
Yeah.
That's the only reason that I had to look beyond what else do we need. So hopefully that helps you understand kind of where I was coming from. Yeah.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
There's a lot on
How
the
will
plate.
how will
It's been there on the plate for
Yeah. How will we
months.
find an human resource coordinator for 0.5 FTE? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess this is Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Would there be the option to make it a full-time or a part-time? Posted as a full-time or a part-time, and then maybe you could draw those folks that are, I mean, it's 2024. And as someone who's in the younger generation, not everyone is looking for full-time jobs, especially if they have work elsewhere as an HR director or another position. So I don't know if there's something that you could work with within the job posting that could say, dependent on candidate, full-time or part-time, then you maybe you wouldn't get that second position, that economic development, but I think that
That's
was
not a bad
part-time.
idea.
Was that
That's not a bad-
economic? Because I think Jessica
Well-
Bates was in that economic development type position, maybe. Was that a
Yes.
part-time position when it was? It was like a
No,
while
it was
ago,
full-time.
2012. Oh, it was full-time.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
But then it's like, how much of the time I could see project management and all those different things taking up a good share of the day.
Mhm. Well, and that's what the days are like, is
Yeah.
we all jump in. If we're having to gather information, we all jump in and do it so that it gets done. That's kind of the culture is we wouldn't just leave it on the person and then have them fail. What do you need help with? So that they can move on to something else so that we all can move on. That's my vision.
So Brooklyn, in your idea, just basically you just, in our advertisement, a halftime.
Yeah, I don't
For
really know
HR.
how that would, I don't really know how that would look, I guess. I'm just spitballing here of other ideas as you guys talk about it. But really, I think it's at the discretion of the court to hire however you want to hire based on, what your union contract or
Well-
handbook and stuff, but
And you can always put it out there, and then whenever you get your applicants in, you know, you're looking at what their actual qualities are and whether or
Right.
not they're, because they may be a great HR person and be horrible at managing projects, or vice versa.
Right. Denise?
Well,
Denise Ball has a question.
I just wondered, do you have HR issues on a daily basis?
Well, not on a daily basis, but when they happen, we need to be prepared. It's a
Correct.
proactive situation. In discussing with John Anderson, our insurance agent, he said that HR issues are the most highly litigated in, I don't want to misquote him, in government, local government, getting more and more and more.
Which is
So,
why you use CIS.
CIS. Yeah.
So it seems like this person is the first contact for an HR issue. If it elevates.
Yes.
Then.
Well, there's also onboarding employees and all that type of stuff is what Miranda did. So she would put the job descriptions out, she would coordinate the interviews, and then when the committee or whatever would hire the person, she would onboard them. And I'm assuming that right now either Chris or Anya are having to onboard, and that's a process in itself. Take it from me.
Yeah. Right.
Are we
So,
hiring a bunch of people?
Well, we've lost 2 people, so,
yeah.
I mean, we started a new body count, so.
Gillum County, has a 50 to 70, depending upon if it's summer. That's how many employees we have, 50 to 70, depending. Isn't that correct, Brooklyn?
Yeah, we process
And-
71 individuals payroll each month, and I've onboarded at least 7 employees since the start of my time in May.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would be, so you're doing that, Brooke, so that would be,
I think
The
that's
HR
technically in my
person
job description.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
And prior to that, we had one issue on the court that we were dealing with a person that got a ticket. And we were still having to deal with CIS, but then, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of different things that come up that you don't anticipate, so.
Family leave, just as an example, that whole change in law, you know, there's just a lot of things that we need to have one person that knows and is skilled and trained. So that's just how I see it. It's not the only way.
I think they had, at one point they had that HR answers, but I don't think very many people utilized it. and
Right.
I never did.
I looked into them, yeah, and they're 25 steps behind where we are because they don't know our particular situation, and there's a lot of educating. You want to make sure you didn't leave anything out of what happened, because it could be a critical where somebody here who's investigating can ask the right questions and knows who's who. And
So can we advertise and put something in the language of the advertisement that the positions may be separated depending on applicants? I
Yes.
mean, I don't know how you would word that.
yes, I think that's a really good idea. The other thing is it could discourage somebody from applying because of it being together that otherwise wouldn't have applied. That might have some of the skills, maybe split.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
comfortable with
maybe
that.
CIS can tell you how to
Word
actually word that.
Just to throw out another, while you guys are all together, the salary, is it just gonna be that same, the salary that was approved there in the
Yes.
budget for that executive assistant to the judge position?
Yeah, we included a salary schedule in the packet and just included it in that same, same range, same, no difference in salary from what the executive assistant to the judge and the commissioner employee resource officer position.
I guess
Okay.
I'm not seeing that.
Oh, So go
One that
to,
has
do you have a salary schedule?
I do at the end,
It doesn't have the new positions, but it has,
it'd be in that same line item.
at the very bottom, the old positions are there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's a move in the right direction to try
Right.
to fill a gap, so
Mhm.
I'm good with it. I don't
Okay.
know how. Do we need to
Okay.
reword a motion?
I will second it with the amendment that we can separate the job descriptions if we need.
Okay.
I don't know how you want to say
Position.
that, but
I'm gonna do a little writing here. Okay. We have a motion to approve the position description for community development HR coordinator and the position description for executive assistant to the county court. We, to proceed with advertising for the community development HR coordinator position, with the option of splitting the two positions, if it becomes necessary of the county court.
I'll second it.
Okay? Any discussion? Any other discussion?
The only thing I would say is we probably need to come up with, separate that job description, just in case.
Have it separated, so if we do that, then we have to approve that separated job description.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. What do we have? Commissioners have been doing. And then we'll go into the next meeting, because I want to make sure everybody understands about the next meeting. So we'll go into the commissioners and judges' comments. Commissioner Wilkins?
I'm attending a North Core meeting tomorrow. I don't know how, one of the big topics they're talking about, of course, they're looking at some funding shortages. I mentioned before, they have some property to sell adjacent that I don't know what everybody's thoughts are on that. I'm a little leery of some of it because property's only there once, but
Where is the property? Is it towards?
it's on the west side of the
Okay.
jail and north kind of, but I thought they said 10 acres. Does that ring a bell? I'll find out the actual.
Okay,
Did Cat County come on board for the jail or not? Is that still
No,
pending?
it's pending, I think. Yes. Yeah.
oh, they were gonna come over, that's right.
I think so. I think I want to say they had a death at their jail, so they were looking to get out of the jail business.
They're having
I don't
some
know.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I don't know what your guys' thoughts are
Okay.
on,
so they went
Well,
5% this year, and the meeting that I sat through said if things didn't change, it'd be 10% or so, or more from each of the contributing counties.
yeah, our increase was 5% in Sherman. I think we're the same, right?
Yeah,
And then
It was
they're talking
5%.
10%.
next year if they don't,
Yeah. But
because they're gonna fall off the cliff if they don't make some changes.
their juvenile coordinator just resigned yesterday too, so. And
suddenly,
Daniel White, I think it was. But I don't know. So, I'm a little leery of putting property out there, but I don't know what the rest of the members think.
Is it only gonna be a fix for a short
Well,
amount of
that's my
time?
concern is if they sell it, is it gonna be a 1 year or,
Mhm.
because if it's a
The money
Band-Aid,
goes,
yeah.
So are
It's not
they,
a solution.
is this just an idea, or are they talking about making a decision?
They're not making a decision yet,
Okay.
but, they're trying to come up with a solution, but like I say, my concern is if this is just gonna be a 1 or 2 year fix, then
Mhm.
I don't think that that's the route to go.
So the other thought is that anytime you sell property and then let people encroach next to you, then here comes all the problems. It's kind of like the Portland racetrack out there by itself, and then
Yeah.
everybody built around it, and then they complained about the noise. They can
Yeah.
complain about the jail
Uh-huh.
right next to them.
So I'll ask some questions on the
Right, I
size.
think we could ask some
order and stuff,
questions
and-
too.
And then if you think of some,
Mhm.
shoot me an email or something. That's 10 o'clock tomorrow. And, the only other thing I had was, I know Cedar Springs Road, they paved it, chip sealed it. I had a citizen ask about the striping because it was dark, but
Oh,
anyway, it's striped.
okay.
I'm gonna try to catch up with Dewey. Probably not gonna make it this month, but, I want to get that RM proposal for the bypass going,
Oh, good.
so.
And is that just for the,
Engineering
Engineers.
study and yeah,
okay,
yeah,
and he's had discussions with Ozapple.
yes. And there's, the other part is the waste management has that gas line proposed coming in, and I'm not in that, but Dewey knows where it's at and everything. I just wanted to make sure he knew where it was coming across by the bypass possibly. So heads up, but
Yeah, I don't remember now exactly. It comes off that one road.
I think it's right past that first crossing there, second crossing, right there in the corner, but other than that, I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Because some of the issues that I remember before I stopped doing it was that, you know, we might have to, the county may have to pay for a well or. I
That
think
all
there
went
was
away.
That all went away?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's being talked about between Apple Ranch and Waste Management.
Because at that point, Waste Management was like, we're not gonna,
Mhm. Yeah, I think some of those issues have been resolved.
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Do we talk like they've made a verbal agreement to put the water line where it comes across close to the gas line?
So then the other change I remember was that they were to go past the railroad track, then Dewey was trying to make it a gradual back into Cedar Springs Road, but Apple wanted him to make it more,
A little tighter,
yeah.
yeah.
And is that still,
I think that's agreed upon.
okay?
But-
So he'll come around tighter and then
Yeah,
they're just gonna have.
yeah, I've only talked to Waste Management once and Herb once. And my next thing was to get together with Dewey to,
Cause I think that was her
Right.
not wanting to give it up anymore.
More than he had
Than
to,
he had
yeah.
to, and frankly, I don't blame him.
yeah,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
He's given up a lot by just letting him put that through there, so.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So that's progressing. Good.
So I did have a question.
Yeah.
I saw on the, employee meeting, there was a talk about reimbursing the mileage. I just wanted to have the clarification. They're talking about, the meetings, right? Discussion regarding the mileage reimbursement for use of personal vehicles for county business. The
Oh, yeah.
county will reimburse for such mileage whether or not a fleet vehicle is
Mhm.
available. You're just talking about like training
Trainings.
and meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's changed so many times with different county administration. There was one point in time where they said if there's a county vehicle available, you can't use your own vehicle. And we talked about it at the staff meeting, and it just, there's situations that happen. You know, people who live out of town have to go drive to get the car, and it actually costs the county more money potentially. Usually it's more expensive to the county if you're taking your own vehicle, but you can get to where you're going faster than to go get to the car. The other situation is people want to do something privately, get groceries or whatever, and they've been at a week-long conference and they have no groceries at home. They shouldn't be getting those in a E-plated car. They take their own vehicle, they can do that, be reimbursed. And it's only for meetings.
Okay. I
Yeah,
was just,
approved meetings.
okay, I was just clarifying
Yeah.
that, so.
Mhm. Okay. Anything else, Leah? You've been healing, so.
Yeah, I'm I think I'm pretty well healed.
Good.
On Monday, I will be divorced from my
Good,
cart,
good,
so.
Good.
Yay.
good. All
Thank you
right,
for putting up with me on Zoom.
yeah. We had our challenges, we got through it.
Although it's kind of glad I was in Condon office that one meeting.
Well, okay. So if you are done, both of you, I just had, gone to Sherman County on Thursday, October 10th to learn about their county operation and to sit down with Judge DeVolskus, and we talked for probably 3 or 4 hours just about everything, questions I have, you know, how their county operates, all of the questions that Anya even had some questions about how they track their contracts and those types of things. So we just, it's good to have a relationship with our neighbors and reach out. So I think we're working on establishing that.
And they also have SIPs rolling off right now
Yes, yes.
and going on the tax rolls.
Yes, and yeah, that's a big one because they're not valued. The wind is not valued, so the SIPs last for 15 years, but they're not valued by locally, they're valued by the Department of Revenue, and they're not valued till August of the year, and these wind towers are 15 years old, so we have no control over how they're valued, 0 control. So it's just a mystery. So you're hoping that you're gonna have a large amount of value, but it's very volatile. It's all over the place. Sherman counties were valued way different than ours. So the assessor's office is working on that right now. So I met with their finance director, Debbie Hayden, and she will be a great resource because they use Cassell. And she had some, you know, it's good to talk to people who use it. It saves us. One of the things she said was that they had to pay for the revenue and expense report that we use all the time that takes your budget, your monthly actuals, and your balance. So I think we're gonna make sure and ask, they already did the programming, that they throw that in for us. So, but yeah, it was a great visit.
I have a question on that. Is it the plan to continue the SIP agreements with the special districts as it is currently?
Okay, so we have one company right now who has asked for a SIP agreement, is in talks right now.
Avangrid.
When we get Avangrid, and it's the repower on Lean Juniper too, but we will bring in the districts affected to talk to them about what we may propose, because you're the ones who it directly affects. We want to know that's how I feel about it, to know what you think. So.
I know when the talk came last time on the SIPs, when it all started, it was overwhelmingly with all the special districts on it, and the way it is now, and so I imagine that probably not going to change much.
Are you just talking about the distribution?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we get it inside that. Some of it's statutory, some of it's our choice, but I don't propose making any change. If something's working, let's leave it the way it is. Unless we hear from community members, the special districts, what their feedback is. That's just the way I see it. We have 2 other county court members. Yeah. Let's see, Barnett Tower, we finalized that agreement. It's good to have something done. I feel like we have all these balls in the air, and it's nice to just check something off the list. Avangrid, work with the assessor's office on numbers and values with them, and called and spoke with Art Fish, who's Business Oregon's tax incentive expert about this, just getting educated and learning how it all works. Broadband fiber, close to finalizing the agreement with Pacific Core and the link pole attachment agreement with them. That is going a lot smoother than I thought. I thought that might be very difficult, and so far, they had 3 minor changes. One to check our insurance limits. Had a question about the equipment, what type of equipment it was, because it's not, radio equipment isn't allowed, and the reciprocal indemnification. So those are the 3 things they want. And so I sent those back to Pacific Core, and I'm waiting for a response. Work is being done to prepare for the audit, which will be in its final phase the week of November 11th. Community counseling solutions, I go down a rabbit hole sometimes because I'm seeking one answer and it takes me multiple places, but Community Counseling Solutions has actually Gillum County has an agreement with OHA for mental health, addiction, and those types of services. Then we have an agreement with Community Counseling Solutions to deliver those services. There is no agreement right now with Community Counseling Solutions. It expired January 1st of 24. We have a draft. I'll bring it to you November 6th meeting for consideration. It just was something that must have gotten missed. I had a meeting with Scott Peters from ODOT about waste on the roadside and talked about things like adopt a highway program. We don't have the Norcore work crew anymore to pick out the trash. ODOT funding is a stumbling block, but we talked about potential solutions like signage, people in certain areas getting together and deciding to pick up their area's garbage and adopt a highway program. So we're talking about solutions. Let's see, met with Rob Turi from PCDC.
So on the ODOT thing, how did the meeting in the Dalles go?
Oh, the meeting in the Dalles was good. What happened with that was it was a panel of, it was the committee representatives and senators, and they had 4 or 5 questions. There might have been 6 questions that we had in advance, and they went around. It was a round table, and we answered the questions, and it was all about ODOT funding because there's a shortfall. And so we couldn't, there was no free speaking. You could only answer their question. What do you see the most serious issue for ODOT today? A lot of people said safety. Some people said wildfires. Other people said threat of a closure of their facility. I don't know, things like that. So it was good. They were gathering information. They went all over the state. This was in the Dalles, and it was good. Then after that meeting that night, there was a hearing. So I testified in support of keeping the facility open in Condon, the maintenance facility, and Todd Lake spoke in support of continued STIF funding, as well as Susan Snyder spoke about the facility not closing. And then some elderly people who use senior transportation spoke about continued STIF funding, and it was very good. So,
well, our ODOT in Condon covers a large area in the winter.
Yeah.
In fact, they go a lot of times clear to Wasco.
Right.
Clear to Clarno.
Yeah. And we, in 2 minutes, I tried to hit, okay, what do you hit the high points on this to get them to understand that we're landlocked, that if you can't get out of Condon, and Arlington has to cover the freeway first, all of the things that.
Well, and that's like Sherman County, or the ones over in Sherman, they're 97.
Right.
And that's why the Condon branch a lot of times ends up going clear to Wasco.
Right. Yep. Talked about school buses, UPS drivers, all the people who've been stranded, the freezing fog, not only the snow, but yeah, all of it. So hopefully, I think we're going to have a good contingent of testimony if it ever gets to that point of that happening.
So we will know if it's on the chopping block.
We will know.
Okay.
Yes. Port of Arlington, I met with Jed. The last time I was in Arlington, we touched base about upcoming projects. We did a lot of work this month on staffing the county court, trying to figure out the best solution and working through those job descriptions and researching and that project. Attended the Arlington Community Child Care meeting. Some other people here went to that meeting. That was on October 3rd in Arlington, and they're very close to being up and running. Then attended a AOC District 3 meeting in Hood River on October 4th and attended a Korea meeting virtually because Commissioner Wilkins couldn't appear. One thing we learned there is there's, I think, 38 energy bills that are going to be introduced in the regular session, and I'm sure some of those are going to affect us. So that's my report, and our next meeting is November 6th, 2024, 10 o'clock at the Gillum County Courthouse. That is the only meeting in November, because we have AOC when we would have the next meeting, which AOC conference is, let me take the date, 18th through the 22nd of November. Okay, we have a big agenda on November 6th.
Yeah.
You gonna make, let's see,
Mhm.
good.
We did, I know last year we had a special meeting just to do a few,
Yeah, and if we have to do that, we can.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, is there anything else? Anything from the public? Okay. Being no further business, adjourn the meeting at 11:02.
So,